All right, first things first. Now, in the Skyline, we are gonna do a little bit, we're gonna outline the mountain that we see here in the template, and we're also gonna cut out a few pieces for the sky. So for our mountain, that's what your big piece of stripy glass is for. We're gonna use the transparent blue to make some clouds for the sky. So grab your template, and I like to get an approximation. You can't really see all the way through this piece of glass, but it is a great piece to make the mountain with. And so what I like to do is hold it up here where I have a edge, and then I see where the mountain comes out here over the edge, and then I just draw a mountain shape. Make up Mount Rainier as you go, and then we are gonna cut this out. Now with our scoring tool, remember, hold it up here where it's textured like you hold a pen or a pencil. Where the two angles come together at the bottom is a little wheel. That wheel needs to make contact with the glass, remember. And remember 3 things when you hold the scoring tool up. You're gonna hold it nearly vertical. Good trick for this is start with it straight up and down. Lean it back just a hair. And when you can just barely see the bolt, that's the perfect angle for your, to scratch the glass. Then number 2, lean into it. And 3, push all the way across from one edge of the glass to the other. Now, this ruffled, wrinkly glasses tends to be a little bit tough to cut, but I want you to remember 2 words when you're gonna use your scoring tool. Number 1, score with confidence, and number 2, score with determination. That is going to get you a nice confident scratch all the way across. Now your scoring tool pairs with your runner. Make sure your gold bolt goes up. The gold line that's right down the center of your tool is gonna go on top of your scratch, so both lines go in the same direction. Make sure we're on the side of the glass where we've got lots of space in between or on either side of your scratch, and then place your runner. Make sure you got glass on both sides. Squeeze like you're using scissors to break your glass apart. Now, you see I got a little edge left up here. I might be able to break that off with the runners if I scored with confidence. Yes, I did. So now I have that little clip. And now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna cut a narrower piece off of this so I can make an outline of a mountain. And I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna use my Sharpie to show you. The Sharpie will burn off in the kiln, so we're not worried about a black line staying on our piece of glass. If you do need to erase your Sharpie, you can always use a little bit of glass cleaner if you need to do that. So then starting here at this where I have lots of glass right here, I'm gonna come out here. Think about this as the entrance and that as the exit. Lean into it, push, and as you do your gentle curve, make sure you're using your whole arm to create that scratch. Now to break that off, grab your runner again, double check that your gold bolt points towards the ceiling. If you don't see your gold bolt, it doesn't matter how hard you squeeze the glass, it's not gonna break. Make sure that gold bolt goes up. Line up your gold line on top of your scratch and give that a squeeze. Now that gives us one side of our mountain. Now to go get the other side, we can use, I like to just flip the glass over. This is gonna be a great way to use your pieces of glass. And then again, comes out kind of down here. We'll shorten this a little bit later, but we're gonna use this. You know what? I'm gonna change my mind. Good thing I have some glass cleaner right here. All right. Hi, Lori, it's good to see you. Or hear from you at least. So now I'm gonna use the edge right here. I do see that it comes out right here, so I'm just gonna draw my line up to there. To cut off that piece. Now I'm going to show you why we're going to leave it smooth in just a little bit, but again using my scoring tool to cut out that shape. Whoops. And then now I'm going to come out and I want it wide here, and I'm going to come out right on the edge right out there, breaking that off. And now I've created the other side of my mountain. Now, if you don't want a super smooth mountain, and we might need to make some adjustments because this is a very wide Mount Rainier. You know, that's not even a very good Mount Rainier. So I'm just gonna use that piece for over there. I'm gonna make this a lot steeper, I realize. So you never end up with a scrap of glass that you don't use. You just always end up with something that you might use in a way you didn't intend to use it in the first place. So I'm gonna cut this off. That's a little better angle. Now I'm gonna use my scoring tool and again, enter where it's wide and where it's narrow. And now let's double check. Because we're gonna build up buildings down around here and we don't want all those to shift out of the way as we're trying to lay out and design our mountain. Now I'm gonna use the glass cutters to ruffle up the edge up here. After all, Mount Rainier is a volcano. It's not a smooth surface. So now where your glass cutters, or where the discs meets, where the glass is gonna break. So it's taking wide steps in between your clips. You can make some ruffles there on top of Mount Rainier and create those different patterns and shapes. I'm gonna use these to clean off over here. Now, if you're clipping at home, I just realized, grab your bowl, which is also in your kit, and you can put a towel or a kitchen towel or a rag in there, and turn the discs pointing straight up as you clip. And that is gonna prevent the clippings from flying all over the place. You still might get some clips here and there, but keep an eye on where they fly, because it's those little ones that get you in the end. And so those ruffles can get you your mountain shape. Now I'll probably trim that off later when I go to lay it down, and I'll use this piece in there somehow. But I'm gonna set my mountain off to the side. Now comes the fun part. We are gonna create, we're gonna start with the Space Needle now. Now you, in your kit, you've got some strategically chosen pieces of the curls. Some of you have blue, there's black, there's gray. There's some kind of purpley gray ones as well. Jen Irvin made those as an experiment, and they are fantastic for these Space Needles. You also got a piece of white spiraled cane, and that's what we're going to use for the center of the Space Needle. You can line that up on at the base of the Space Needle, pinch right next to where you're going to want to cut it, and then give that a clip. Lay that piece down. And all you're measuring for is the right length right now. You are not worried about the different, where it's gonna stay. So let's work on creating our arches. Now in your different pieces of curls, what I like to do is work with those and find the one that looks, I'm a symmetrical person, so I like to find the one with the best symmetry, or find two with the most symmetry, and the ones that are closest to the arch, because I want them to flare out a little bit away from the top of the Space Needle. It doesn't really matter what happens down here at the bottom, because we are going to cover that up with some of our buildings, but something with a nice arch in it is what I look for when I look for these curls. So right up here where this curl starts, I see the arch that I want. Give it a pinch, clip that off. Now I was going to use this side down here and then clip that off as well. So now I'm going to clip this other one that I have here. Measure those out. Now a couple of reasons we're starting with the Space Needle. Number one, the rolly things get out of the, tend to roll around, and so we want to deal with those before we move on. And two, we're going to build our buildings around, or build our city skyline around those pieces. And so we want these, we're going to cover these up. Now we're going to build our observation deck and the restaurant. And to do that, you should have some fat pieces of curls in your kit. And for that, I like to measure out the bottom level here is going to be a medium thickness, medium width piece of the curl. And again, just like finding the support beams, find the right length and find the right arch or straightness if you want in your curl. Now again, it doesn't matter that those shifted around. We're going to worry about those later. But I'm going to find those pieces. And then I have this really fun piece of purple. I can see purple and gray straight through here. So I know that that one's going to be really good. And so I want that piece in here. I know it's kind of arched and the Space Needle's straight at the top, but I really want to use this piece. So I'm going to add that in to my Space Needle design. Now I need whatever that wide thin piece is right there. I'm going to use that. And I've got this, oh, I wonder if this is the right width. Nope, a little too short. I'm going to use this piece of my curl that I have here, nice and wide. And now I'm going to break that off and lay that down. Oh, I don't know if that piece is going to work. We are going to see. Now I need a medium width up here at the top. And then lay that in as well. Sorry about that. We're trying to make the, there we go. Hi, Jenna. Oh, thank you, Andre. Now I can see the comments. Goodness. We're doing all these live stream videos and now I'm learning all kinds of things. I'm getting better at it slowly but surely. Kevin helps a lot. He's way better at this than I am. And now I think my Space Needle might be kind of lumpy and funny, but I like the glass more than I like the straight edges, so that's what we're going to stick with. And lay that down, and now we've got our Space Needle. Now, again, we want to line up our base piece with the edge of our glass, so this is a good opportunity to scoot everything up. Make sure you still have that white edge of the paper underneath or below your pieces of glass, because we want our waves and arches and to stand up if that's what we're going to do with our Space Needle. Now in your kit, you also got a bottle of glue, and if I forgot one, I apologize. You can post a message and let me know, and we can give you some other tips to create to glue everything down, because this is going to be key to getting this back to us. Now don't stress about having to drive with the glass in your car. We've got a plan for that as well. But now I've got my Space Needle. And so he's all lined up. Now I did do a couple of drops of glue up in here in the Space Needle, or in the top, and then on my spiraled cane. Now just the glue does take about 30-40 minutes to set, so it's not gonna stick right away. You can still bump those out of the way, but it's not a big deal. We can always make some adjustments. Now, let's start building our buildings, so to speak. Now, what we're going for with our different colors of mosaic glass is really more about the edge and the line. It's not about, and the different variation in height. It's not about the details that we see in our template. And Amazon is going to build a new building anyway, so it doesn't really matter if we get one shorter or taller. Now, this is a bunch of rectangles and squares. So in order to do this, you got a variety of colors of glass. Which color you use for which building does not matter. I have this really cool piece of red, and I'm going to use this for some of my taller buildings in here. Now I'm going to cut this tall, skinny one. Your Sharpie is going to be your friend here. And I want to line that up with the height, but then I'm also going to drop it down a little bit so I can see the right width to cut. And now I'm going to cut the whole piece of glass rather than worrying about how long that needs to be. I'll show you why in a second. Now, if you're like me and you can cut a straight line, you can cut a straight line. But if you want to use a straight edge, one of the other pieces of glass makes a great straight edge. Now, I'm gonna start down here so I can be right-handed at this. Now, if I wanna cut from here to here, think of it like driving. When we use the scoring tool, we wanna look where we're going, not where we're at. So just same as driving. You look at the stop sign, you don't look right in front of your hood. So place your scoring tool right at your starting point, and then you're gonna bring the glass over to it. We don't wanna put the glass down and then try and put the scoring tool right down. There's a little lip right here and you're gonna get stuck. And so I want you to have a good scratch. Now our 2 words, confidence and determination, all the way across. To break that off, we're gonna use the runner. Now, as you're looking at this, you might be going, oh, but there's no glass on both sides. But we have a fairly wide amount, and we're all the way out here to the edge of the runner. So that's gonna be okay. So squeeze and break that off. Now to find the right length of the glass, I line it up at the top where I wanted it, and then at the bottom of the black, where the silhouette ends, not the edge of the paper, because we wanna have space for these to stand up. Use your glass cutters. And on a width like this, my discs are halfway in between each edge, and you're still gonna get a straight edge when you use the glass cutters. So that gives us one of our buildings. Now save all of your little rectangles. They become handy later because you get to add all of those in. Now I'm gonna do the same thing, and I'm gonna keep building some buildings. Now to speed things up a little bit, instead of watching me make all the buildings, I'm really gonna focus down here around the Space Needle so that you can, so that I can show you how we bridge over the spiraled cane and the curls. That way your Space Needle truly is behind your buildings as you're looking at these. So with my purple, I dropped it down, I made my width mark. Now I'm gonna use my scoring tool to cut that. I know you can't see my Sharpie on there, but I promise you the Sharpie is there. Break that off. Figure out how long I want that piece. Use the glass cutters. Now, this building has a little bit of a peak. You can always add that in. Use the glass cutters to nip off the corners of that triangle. Oops. Again, me and my symmetry. Break that off. And now I can actually push that up a little bit so there's space right there. So I'm gonna keep working my way around. Let's see, let's use some green for this one. There's a little bit of trial and error as we go through here. Some of your buildings, if you accidentally cut it too short, it just becomes another building somewhere else in your skyline. But we're going for these tall buildings in the back. We're gonna stack the glass up 2 or 3 layers high to create the rest of our buildings. Now again, save all those rectangles and triangles, or rectangles and squares, because you get to use those later. They become part of the design. And we're gonna build ourselves a foundation down here around the Space Needle. It's kind of ironic that that's where a lot of the building is going on right now, because that's what we're doing too. So breaking that off. Give that a clip. Use some of the blue. Now again, use your colors wherever you want. However you want to lay out your colors. The swirly glass is a little different on both sides, so I like to see which side of the glass I'm actually going to want to work with. Now again, I'm scoring fairly, or I'm creating fairly skinny rectangles, but those 2 words, confidence and determination, when you're using your scoring tool, are going to be what gets you, or what creates the ability to make those lines. Let's see, this one needs to be wide here. Everything's scooting around right now, totally okay. We'll move all of that back into place. Clip this off down here. And again, if you're looking at your glass and need to determine whether or not you should use the scoring tool to cut and shorten your rectangle, or if you should use your, if you can use the glass cutters, the trick of the trade really is about 1/4 of an inch. If it's narrower than 1/4 of an inch, you can use the glass cutters. If your piece of glass is wider than 1/4 of an inch, you're gonna wanna use your scoring tool if you want a straight line. If you don't really care about a straight line and are okay with a little bit of a wiggle in your design, use the glass cutters. It's not that big of a deal. It's all art anyways. And even if your buildings do have a wiggle in it, we call that the earthquake Seattle scene. So your design will apply in many situations. Applying that really loud clunk that you hear when I cut the glass there is actually the blades getting a little bit dull. So that tells me it's time to rotate the blades on my glass cutters. When you've been in the studio, you've probably seen that there's usually Sharpie on the blades, and we use the Sharpie to indicate where it's already been used, and then rotate the blades from there. That way we get a little bit more life out of the blades. Now, if you have a pair of glass cutters at home and we're just, your own personal artist, you might rotate your blades once every 6 months, maybe. But at Moltenworks, we rotate the blades every 3 to 4 weeks because of the number of people that come into the studio. And before I put together your at-home kits, I also rotated the blades for you as well to make sure you had nice sharp tools in your kit. There we go. Let's see. I feel like you have more colors than I do. But the other thing is that I'm down here in Studio 2 where Kevin has been creating his flowers. So I snagged a few of those scraps and I'm gonna add some of those into my kit, add some variety. My favorite thing about the Seattle Skyline workshops is the different colors that people use. In our last workshop at the studio, we had someone do a kit or do the workshop entirely with black. We also had somebody do it all in black and gray to create a night scene. That one was really cool. We did a let's see, what else? I know that somebody's done it all in purple before, so just the variations that everybody does is really wonderful. I don't think that's actually supposed to be there. So I am going to, let's see, how am I gonna fill that in? Let's see what I got. I might actually add some more curl right here. Let's see what I can do. Now again, how many curls you use to create your supports for your Space Needle is totally up to you. I like to make it look sturdy. I also like the colors of the curls, so I like to add those in as well. It's just a personal preference of mine. So do what you need to create the Space Needle that you love and create the different arches that you want to see. That's the best part about it. I hope everybody has pieces that work for them and work to create your Space Needle. I know that when I made the curls and when I went through the curls to stock your kits, I tried to pick out curls that where you still had a choice, but where you would also successfully be able to make a Space Needle with the arches the way I'm showing you here. So hopefully that's happening for everybody. Now, we're going to, now I said I was going to show you how to build a bridge over the base of your Space Needle. And so what we're going to do now is we're going to lay a piece of glass that is approximately from the middle of this piece of purple over here to the middle of that piece of red. Whatever color you choose, totally up to you. Find the one that works best for you. And it's going to be about this high. So we're going for about 1.5 inches. And I'm going to turn this glass so my stripes go horizontal. Now I'm going to draw my line right in here, just so you can see it on the video. I'm going to use the Sharpie for that. Now I break this off. Again, lean into it. Hear that fantastic sound. Gold line on your scratch. This is a good opportunity to see that you've got glass on both sides, and you're going to give that a squeeze. Now I want this. I'm going to use my fingers and hold it up over so I'm not resting it down. Now I'm going to use my Sharpie and I'm going to cut it off right about here. Now this is a case where it's a lot wider than I want to use the glass cutters for it, because I want a good straight line. So I'm going to use my scoring tool to scratch all the way across and break off that piece. But what do you know? That kind of looks like a building somewhere in here. Now, if you set, this is our second layer. Now, if you set this down and it seems to be balancing on top of your spiraled cane, we've got a couple of options. You can take and create a second layer here with some of your other colors and give yourself a bridge that way. And so now we're built on top. And technically, in between those, the end points there, you're at only 2 layers. So you can add in a couple more buildings right there. So this is where those little rectangles that you've already created come into play, where you can add a couple of buildings in there and show off all of the different colors and buildings that end up there in Seattle. So that's one way to build. Now we're going to build in front of it. Again, I told you later I'll go in and fill this out, but I want to show you the layering that we can do. So you can take, I already created this piece, right? That gives me kind of a medium height building. Oh, I just realized that this could be like Goldilocks. We have Papa Bear buildings, Mama Bear buildings, and Baby Bear buildings. But that's just me being silly. So I'm just gonna scratch a bunch of different widths in here. Like I said, Amazon changes our Skyline all the time. So you're gonna see different pieces of buildings, you're gonna see different widths of buildings, and they're constantly gonna change. So you get to make the Seattle Skyline the skyline that works best for you. You can add all these different pieces in. And again, it's the ups and downs that really get you the detail that you want. I like experimenting with what I lay the transparent red on top of, because if it's on a lighter color like this blue here, it's gonna show up and be nice and bright. But when I put it on a darker color like the purple here, it kind of disappears right now. It does create more of a shadow. So I'm gonna add in some of my other colors here. Now I told you that there's some scraps laying around down here. And so I'm gonna add in some of these colors. This one, I'm gonna hold it up nice and close. So cool. I almost don't wanna cut it, but I do wanna cut it because I wanna add some of these stripes into my Skyline. You never know, some of these stripes might end up in the kits so that you too can create with these, with this striped glass. That might be kind of fun. Surprise to find in your kit. Who wouldn't want to find some of this specialty glass in your kit? Well, to create your Seattle Skyline. Now, you'll note this corner isn't square, so I am going to fix that with the scoring tool. to break off these ends and create this fun. Now I know there's not really a building that tall over there in Seattle, but there will be at some point, so we're gonna leave that there. I also have these blue stripes that I found in here, so I'm gonna clip these off, add these pieces in as well. Use some of this different specialty glass, these fun swirls and stripes. If you haven't seen Kevin's flowers, you should really go check out those videos, because he's really been experimenting and learning, and each piece that he's done, yeah, a couple of those flowers have broke, but they are, you know, he's coming out with new and better ideas and different designs, and so they're really starting to turn out really well. I know that he's pretty excited about it. So add some of these in. Totally cool to go on top of using the same color. Layer in those pieces. Add them in. Remember, 3 layers up. So I'm gonna spread these out. I really like this bright. This is called Lemongrass. This is a lot of fun to use. I love this opaque green. It's the swirl in it comes out so nice in the kiln, or after it comes out of the kiln. So you just have to trust that the glass is going to change color a little bit, and you're going to get more of that white opaque that we see down there. I want a small piece of this. I can still notice I keep it narrow enough that I can pretty consistently use the glass cutters to cut off these pieces. I don't want to make it too hard for myself. So if you think you don't always have to use the scoring tool to get straight lines, you can, depending on what size glass you're working with, you can always use, you can sometimes use the glass cutters to create those straight lines. So now let's realize I haven't been using much of this. You can kind of mass produce your pieces, get those different width buildings in there. Now imagine as you were looking down one of the streets down towards the Space Needle, there's lots of different size buildings peeking out of each corner. There's a new building going up. There's a old building being cowering in the corner, so to speak, by some of the new construction. So create your own image of what's happening down, looking down the corridors and down the street on your skyline. So that's how we build our bridge and work our way around and over our Space Needle. And like I said, I'll build out the rest of that later. Depends on where we're at on the live video and what time it is. But we will, now we're gonna add in our sky. So remember, we cut out our mountain at the beginning. And now it's gonna be really complicated to lift all that up and put that behind. So I'm just gonna skip that part, and I'm gonna clip off this piece and let it butt right up against the edge of that building. If you want your, you can carry that along and show that the mountain comes down all the way down through there. You could even take some of your curls or some of your chips of glass that you made, slide those in so that it looks like the mountain is peeking through all of those different buildings. Remember to use the clip into the bowl trick so that those little pieces don't bounce all over the place. Shorten that up. Remember, the glass cutters also give you a little ruffle when you don't want a smooth line and a smooth edge. So we can add that in there. Oh, maybe I want a piece. Let's see. I haven't done this yet where I tried to make a continuous line all the way through my design. So challenging myself here as I'm showing you live how to do this. There we go. That gives us kind of a line all the way through. Now, remember I had messed up, right? And I didn't really want to use this piece, but this piece is actually going to become more of the mountain. I'm just going to add that in here. So I'm going to so you can see what I'm going to do. I'm going to cut kind of along here, see what happens. Lean into it. And there's not a really good edge or end to start from. So I'm just going to reach up. I'm about halfway in between the ends of each of my lines here. And then to add that in, I need a bumper. And what I mean by a bumper is that I need a narrower, smaller piece of glass down here at the end to give myself an even layer. I'm gonna bring that up. Now all your little pieces can become part of your mountain. I like to use the glass cutters, and I'm kind of dead center right here. I'm parallel to the edges, about halfway in between my ends. And all these different pieces then can be part of my mountain. So I can add them in and just give my mountain a little texture. Now my default on Seattle Skylines to do the sky and the mountain is always Frit. And when I said, oh, Kevin, I'm gonna send Frit home with everyone, he said, I think we should think of something else. And so he helped me think of something else. So we use Mosaic to create the outline of the mountain. Now, something else that you can do is you can create yourself some fireworks. So you can take one of your pieces of bright glass, use the glass cutters. Now we're gonna cut in a fan motion. So my glass stays square and my hand moves in a fan motion. And again, I'm tipped up so that all my pieces bounce into the bowl. Now you also had a pair of tweezers in your glass kit. These are gonna come in real handy right now. And we're gonna use a scrap of glass and put a couple drops of glue on it, because this is called the dip and stick method. Take your piece of glass, dip it in the glue, and stick it down. So you can lay these pieces out in your bright kind of a fan, or whatever design you choose for your fireworks. Clip off a bunch of those pieces, mass produce a few. You'll find the right ones in that little pile that you make. Now, my favorite part about the striped swirly glass like the red here is when you lay it on its side and you can see it almost looks like a sandwich of glass. There's lots of little lines in it. I don't know, you're not gonna be able to see that. But then you lay that down so the lines are facing up. Those lines are all then gonna show up in our fireworks up here. So it's another way to use the glass. You can almost think of the glass as being 3D because you can use it up, down, sideways, you know, any way you want to lay out to show off the design of the glass. So lots of cool things you can do just by flipping that glass on the side. And so that's the glass that's swirly. So that same rule of thumb applies to the opaque green. Got lots of striations here. It applies to this swirly blue as well. If it's up on its side, you're gonna get different colors. And same for this fun, the teal and the brown. This is Jeanette O'Neill's favorite glass to work with. She has lots of cool pieces with this, but there's a lot of blue inside the glass, so sandwiched in between. So if I used a piece of this and it pointed up, then I could see more of that blue if I'm using that. Now, another thing that you can do in your sky is to create some clouds or some waves. And to do that, that's what this piece of transparent blue is for. I'm gonna use the Sharpie to show you about the shape that I'm gonna make, but essentially it's a big ol' S right through here. Now when we score our curve, hold your wrist straight. We're gonna use our whole elbow or our whole arm. Our elbow swings when we do this. I always say you're gonna elbow your neighbor when you're at the studio. I can't wait till that actually applies. Starting here on this end, lean into it, push all the way across. Now another thing when scoring is your body position. We don't want the glass and the tool right here in front of our belly button. You want it actually off to the side. So I'm right-handed, my glass is off to my right side a little bit. Gives me more room to swing my elbow. Again, elbow your neighbor. Or pretend you're elbowing your neighbor. We might be physically distant, but we are not socially distant in this kind. I know that there's a neighbor that you want to swing your elbow out to. Let's see. Whew. You can have a nice swirl of cloud there through your sky. I'm gonna scratch off a few other shapes through here, see what I get. Sometimes these break and they're still excellent cloud or sky swirl pieces coming on through. It's kind of fun to have them. You can take advantage of the flat edge. Line that up with the edge of your piece of glass and create those shapes. Maybe you want to do that on the other side. No, I'm gonna see if I can. And I'm gonna be about halfway in between the ends of my scratch here. I'm gonna create that piece, and that gives me a little piece as well. Might as well throw this one in while I'm up there. So that's another thing that you can do in your sky. Now, you'll notice that I didn't use my yellow in my buildings. You can use the yellow in your buildings if you want. Totally okay to do that. However, it's kind of fun to make a sunshine. Now, a little bit of sunshine goes a long ways around here. It's been kind of gray, but Deb told me it's supposed to be 60 degrees next week. Kind of excited about that. Jenna, don't tell me how warm it is down there. Now, I'm gonna create a sunshine out of this. So, you wanna know how to cut a circle? Here we go. Draw out your circle. Doesn't have to be super perfect. And now, we are gonna do one thing. We are gonna score all the way around this circle. And when we do that, we're gonna use the scoring tool like the needle on a turntable and use our other hand to turn the glass. So lean into that, twist that glass all the way around until you feel yourself hit the other end of your scratch. You'll feel a little like a speed bump there. Now, so we've scratched all the way around, and you're saying, but Melissa, we have to scratch from one edge of the glass to the other. Hold on. We're gonna scratch from the edge of our scratch to the edge of the glass. And so think of it as exiting a roundabout. That was the analogy I came up with last time. Now, you can scratch from the edge of the glass towards your scratch, or you can start where your glass is and come out to the edge. I like edge in because I can feel where my scoring tool hits the glass. And then we're gonna use our runner right here, break that off, ooh, how to do, and we have a sunshine. Now I'm gonna nip off these couple of little corners here. I want my sun a little bit round, not a lot, it's just looking a little square to me. All right, sunshine it is. Sunshine and fireworks at the same time. In my Seattle, yes, there is sunshine and fireworks at the same time. So, now we might need some triangles for that. Take these little scraps, use your glass cutters, create yourself some triangles, give your sun some sun rays. Now, I just thought of something. I've got a curl that's really curly. So I am gonna be able to make a smiley face sunshine. Lay out your little triangles, give yourself some sunbeams. Vitamin D is very good for us. Let's see, what do we got? Go on a little bit smaller one, just cause. All right, how'd we do? You got a sunshine? I'm gonna leave my sunshine and my fireworks in my sky because I want all of those things in my Seattle sky. Can't wait until we can do, till we can do fireworks and be out in the sunshine. That's gonna be really nice. All right, so I've got my sky. Like I said, I'm gonna build this out a little bit further. Now, as you are cleaning up, watch out for the little pieces. Take your, all those big rectangles and pieces of glass and stick them in one of the bags, and you'll pack that back into your kit. Anything that's little like this goes in the recycle. And then take any extra, scraps, that's gonna go back in the bag. Any of these big curls and that spiraled cane, that can come back to us as well. But everything else, just stick that in the recycle. Now, let's talk a little bit about what we need to glue. We can just let it drop on top of your Space Needle. We want those curly pieces to tack down. Now on the mosaic, we're going to drop glue kind of at both ends. Just off to the side, the glue's gonna run underneath, and so it's going to tack that down. On some of your longer pieces, maybe put a drop in the middle. Smaller like this, we want to give that firework a couple of drops in the middle. The glue will slide its way out towards the end. And then on our smiley face, sunshine, just drop the glue around the sunshine. Get at least one drop of glue on each of those sun rays. The glue will work its way underneath it. It is liquid, and so too much glue, we don't want to flood our piece because too much glue will lift all of our mosaic and shift it around. Thank you, Ken. Thank you, Andre. And then for our layers here, same as what we did up here in the sky. A drop at the top of each rectangle, drop where the rectangles come together, drop at the bottom. And just let that's another reason for leaving that edge down here at the base of our glass, because you could put a drop there and it'll work its way up into the mosaic as well. But make sure you get a drop at the intersection, so where the glass is next to each other or on top of each other, and that's gonna help tack that down. Now, it does take about 30 to 40 minutes to set, so walk away, clean up, go grab yourself a snack, walk around the block 6 feet apart from everybody else. And then when you do need to pick up your piece, your fingers and your hands are gonna work like a vise. You're gonna, I'm gonna be about halfway in between each edge, pinch the edge, and then pick up your base piece. If you wanna practice on a cutting board or something, do that too. But then set that back down. Now when you bring it back to us, grab one of those boxes that you got from Target or Costco. I've even seen somebody bring it back to us in a cookie sheet. But set it on a towel. You can gently wrap it with the towel, or at the very least fold up the towel, create a bumper around the edge of your piece. You could also do that with a little bit of packing paper. If you've gotten a delivery lately, you might have some packing paper lying around, but you can set your piece in that box and then use that packing paper around the edge of your glass piece. I haven't had anybody's piece slide apart in the car, so everybody's been doing a good job of gluing their pieces down, and we haven't used a lot of glue. Everybody's glue bottle has come back with glue in it, so I know that it hasn't taken that much glue to glue our pieces down. So then once you bring your piece back, we'll have it ready. Kevin and I will have it ready for you in 7 days. He and I are both here at the studio 6 or 7 days a week, working hard, prepping kits for you, getting all this online content ready to go. Like I said at the beginning, it does look like we're gonna be closed until Monday, March the 4th. We've got something live for you every day. We've got lots of fun posts. Order your kits, renew a membership, order a gift card, buy an Open Studio punch card. All of that helps us out in the short run while we are not able to host you in the studio for classes. We do appreciate everything that you're doing for us. We love our members. We love everybody that comes into the studio. I'm so excited to have you come back into the studio and see what you are creating. So I'm gonna sign off. I'll post your comments if you have any questions in here. Also, post a picture of what your project looked like before you send it off to me so that I can see what it looks like.